The sky above New Horizon burned red every evening. Dust storms from the dry plains mixed with smoke from distant explosions. The colony had started as a small mining outpost 20 years ago. Now it was a city of metal domes and underground tunnels. People had come here to build new lives. Instead, they found war. Captain Daniel Miller stood on the command balcony inside the main dome. He was 38, tall, with short brown hair and tired green eyes. His uniform was patched in 3 places. He stared at the big screen that showed the planet from orbit. Tiny red dots moved across the black space. Those were Krell ships. The enemy had more than 200 vessels now. The human defenders had only 12 working ships left, and most of those were damaged. Laura Davis worked at the next console. She was the chief engineer, 34 years old, with dark hair tied back in a tight knot. Her hands moved fast over the controls. She tried to reroute power to the shield generators again. The shields flickered every few minutes. Each time they dropped, pieces of the colony took hits from orbit. "How long until the next wave?" Daniel asked, without turning. 30 minutes, Laura said. Her voice stayed calm. "Maybe less. Their bombers are already in position." Daniel nodded once. He had stopped hoping for good news weeks ago. The Krell did not tire. They did not make mistakes. They came in perfect formation, fired clean energy beams, and left burning craters. To them, humans were soft creatures from a wet world, easy to break. Down in the lower levels, Kevin Clark sat in the cockpit of his scout fighter. The small ship smelled of burnt wiring and old coffee. Kevin was 26, thin, with messy blonde hair. He had flown combat missions since he was 19. His hands rested on the controls. He waited for the launch order. "Kevin, you awake up there?" "Yeah, Megan," he answered. Megan Thompson was his wingmate. She flew the fighter next to his in the hangar. "Just thinking about how nice a beach would be right now." Megan laughed short and dry. "Keep dreaming. The only beach we'll see is made of glass after the Krell finish." Kevin smiled a little. Talking helped. It kept the fear from growing too big. Back in the command dome, Daniel opened the long-range comm channel to Earth. The signal would take 4 days to reach home, 4 more days to get any reply. He spoke slowly and clearly. "This is Captain Daniel Miller, New Horizon Colony. We are under full siege. Krell forces outnumber us 20-1 in orbit. Ground troops have taken 3 outer domes. Casualties are at 60% of combat personnel. Food and medical supplies will last 10 days at most. We cannot hold without help." He paused. His throat felt tight. "We request immediate reinforcements. Anything you can send, please. We are asking for everything you've got." He ended the recording and sent it. The screen showed transmission sent. No one cheered. No one spoke. They had sent the same message 3 times before. Each time the answer came late, or not at all. Laura looked at him. "You think they'll send something this time?" Daniel rubbed his face with one hand. "I think they'll try, but space is big, and we're far out." He walked to the window that looked out over the surface. The plains stretched flat and gray under the orange sky. In the distance, flashes lit up the horizon. Artillery. Human artillery. It sounded weak compared to the deep booms of Krell weapons. A young soldier named Ryan Brooks ran into the command room. He was only 21, still with baby fat on his cheeks. His helmet sat crooked. "Sir, enemy dropships just launched from their carriers, at least 40, headed for Sector 5. Daniel felt the old anger rise again. Sector 5 held the water plant. If the Krell took it, the colony would die of thirst in a week. "Alert all ground teams," he said. "Pull everyone back to the inner perimeter. No heroes. We save what we can." Ryan saluted and ran out. Laura kept working on the shields. Her screen showed red warnings everywhere. "Daniel, if we lose the main reactor, The domes go dark. No heat, no air filters. We freeze or choke. Then don't lose the reactor, he told her. She gave a small, tired smile. Working on it. Outside, the first Krell dropships hit the atmosphere. They glowed like falling stars. Anti-air guns opened up from the colony walls. Streams of tracer rounds reached for them. Some ships exploded in bright flashes. Most kept coming. Kevin's fighter launched with a hard shove. The G-forces pressed him back into the seat. He climbed fast, turned toward the incoming dropships. Megan formed up on his right wing. "Let's thin 'em out," she said over the comm. Kevin checked his weapons. 4 missiles left. 1 cannon with half ammo. Not enough. Never enough. He picked a target, locked, fired. The missile streaked away and hit a dropship in the side. The alien craft spun and broke apart. Pieces rained down in fire. "Good hit," Megan called, but 10 more took its place. On the ground, Sergeant Christopher Harris led his squad through the tunnels. He was 42, broad shoulders, gray starting in his beard. His rifle felt heavy today. He had not slept in 2 days. "Move fast," he told his people. "We hold the water plant, or we all drink dust." The squad ran. Boots echoed on metal floors. Above them, the ceiling shook with each orbital strike. Back in orbit, the Krell commander watched from his flagship bridge. His name did not matter to humans. They called his kind tall ones because of their long necks and thin bodies. He stood very straight. His skin was pale blue. His large black eyes reflected the battle map. "Pathetic," he said in his clicking language. "They still fight, but they break soon." His weapons officer agreed. Their shields fail in sequence. One more push, and the domes crack open. The commander made a pleased sound. "Send the next wave. End this quickly. I want their world renamed before the next cycle." None of them knew about the message Daniel had sent. None of them knew Earth had listened. Far away, across light years of empty space, a reply formed. It started small, a single encrypted burst from a relay station near Sol. Then more signals joined. Ships turned, engines flared, course corrections locked in. The reply would reach New Horizon in 6 days, but it would not come alone. Daniel stood at the window again. Another dome in the distance exploded. Fire bloomed like a flower. Screams came over the emergency channels. He closed his eyes for a second. "Hold on," he whispered to no one. "Just hold on a little longer." He did not know what was coming. No one did. But something was already moving through the dark between stars. Something big. Something that had grown up on the worst planet in the galaxy. Something that did not break easily. The colonists asked for reinforcements. 6 days passed like slow poison. Each hour brought more Krell ships into orbit. The blockade grew tighter. No supply runs got through anymore. No messages came back from Earth. Daniel Miller walked the command dome with heavy steps. His boots scraped on the metal floor. Sleep came in short bursts, never more than 2 hours. His eyes looked sunken now. Laura Davis still fought the machines. She patched cables with tape and solder. She rerouted power from non-essential systems. Lights in the outer corridors went dark, so the shields could stay up a little longer. Her hands had small burns from hot wires. She ignored them. Kevin Clark flew patrol after patrol. His fighter had new holes from enemy fire. Megan Thompson flew beside him every time. They talked less now. Words felt heavy. They just watched the sky and waited for the next attack. On the 7th morning, the sensors screamed. Ashley Lewis sat at the main sensor station. She was 29, quiet, with short black hair and steady hands. She stared at her screen. The display showed a new contact. Not one ship, not 10, hundreds. The signature was huge. It filled half the orbital map. "Captain," Ashley called. Her voice cracked a little. Multiple hyperspace exits, incoming fast. I count over 300 signatures, maybe more. Daniel walked over quickly. He looked at the screen. The dots appeared in a wide arc behind the Krell fleet. They came from the outer system, moving at speeds no colony ship could match. Are they ours? Laura asked. She stood up from her console. Ashley zoomed in. The shapes resolved slowly. Angular hulls, thick armor plates. No smooth lines like the sleek Krell cruisers. These looked like rocks wrapped in steel. Guns stuck out everywhere. Some ships were so big, they made the Krell carriers look small. A signal came through. Clear and strong. No encryption. Just plain text on every channel. Sol Defense Armada. Terran Deathworld Contingent. Identifying. Stand by. The words hung in the air. Daniel felt something shift inside his chest. Not hope yet. Something close. Kevin heard it in his cockpit. His radio lit up. He stared at the comm panel. Megan's voice came through. Did you hear that? Deathworld Contingent? What the hell is that? Kevin shook his head even though she could not see. No idea, but they're here. On the ground, Christopher Harris listened to the same broadcast in the water plant bunker. His squad sat around a small speaker. They looked at each other. No one spoke at first. Sounds like Earth finally woke up, Christopher said. His voice was rough. One of the younger soldiers, Jason Carter, grinned. Took them long enough. Above them, the battle changed. The Krell commander saw the new contacts too. His thin fingers tapped the command rail. The arrivals did not match any known human fleet pattern. No elegant frigates. No fast destroyers. Just mass. Raw mass. Scan them, he ordered. The scan returned strange data. Hulls made of layered composites humans should not have in such quantities. Power readings off the charts. Weapon signatures unknown. The ships moved like predators, not like prey. Open fire, the commander said. Destroy them before they organize. Krell batteries lit up. Energy lances stabbed across space. Bright white beams hit the leading human ships. The impacts flared. Armor glowed red, then white. Chunks of ablative plating blew away in clouds of vapor. But the ships did not break. They kept coming. The damage looked bad. It was not enough. One of the big human vessels, marked as the flagship Endurance, took 6 direct hits. Its forward section smoked. Then it answered. It moved too fast to see clearly. It crossed the distance in seconds. The slug punched through a Krell cruiser like paper. The alien ship split in half. Secondary explosions ripped it apart. Debris spun outward. The Krell bridge went quiet. The human armada did not wait. They fired again. Not one gun, all of them. Kinetic rods launched in waves. Each rod was the size of a small shuttle. They hit with the force of small meteors. Krell shields popped like soap bubbles. Hulls crumpled. Smaller human ships darted forward. They looked like angry insects. Drones poured out of their bays. Thousands of them. The drones swarmed Krell fighters. They moved in patterns no pilot could match. Some exploded on impact. Others latched on and drilled into weak points. Daniel watched from the command dome. The orbital display showed chaos. Krell ships tried to reform their lines. The human ships pushed through without slowing. Laura pointed at a section of the screen. Look at that one. The big carrier. It's launching dropships already. Dozens of heavy transports fell toward the planet. They ignored the Krell blockade. Enemy fire hit them. Some took damage. None turned back. Ashley read the new data coming in. They're broadcasting again. Audio this time. The voice came over every speaker. Deep, calm, almost bored. This is Admiral Ryan Young, Terran Deathworld Contingent. We received your request for reinforcements. We came. All of us. Hold your positions. We will clear the sky. Daniel felt his knees go weak for a second. He grabbed the console to steady himself. Ryan Young. The name meant something. Stories from Earth. A man who had survived 5 years on Titan's ice mines, who led rescue teams through Venus acid storms, who trained soldiers in places where normal people died in minutes. The Armada was not just ships, it was people like that. All of them. Kevin and Megan flew close to one of the human cruisers now. The ship was huge. Its side read Endurance, SD-01. Scars covered its hull. Old burns, deep gouges, patches of different metals. It looked like it had fought wars for centuries. A new voice came over their fighter comms. Female. Sharp. Scout flight, this is Endurance Control. You are cleared to dock if needed. Resupply available. Welcome home. Kevin blinked. Home? Megan laughed. It sounded strange after so long. Guess we made it. The Krell tried one more push. Their remaining capital ships formed a wedge. They charged the human center. Energy weapons fired in perfect unison. The Endurance answered with something new. A wide plasma storm erupted from its bow. Green fire washed over the Krell formation. Shields failed. Armor melted. Ships cooked from the outside in. Smaller human vessels moved in close. They rammed damaged Krell ships, not to destroy. To board. Grapples shot out. Hulls locked together. Marines in heavy suits poured across. Christopher Harris saw the first dropships land near the water plant. They came down hard. Dust clouds rose. Ramps dropped. Men and women stepped out. Their armor was thick, covered in extra plates. Helmets had wide visors. They carried weapons that looked too big for normal soldiers. One of them walked straight to Christopher's position. She removed her helmet. Short brown hair, sharp eyes. Name tag read, Megan Thompson. But wait, no. This was a different Megan. Megan Carter. She smiled. Sergeant Harris, we're here to help. Christopher stared. You just flew through that? Megan shrugged. Seen worse on Earth. Australian outback in summer makes orbital fire look cool. She turned to her team. Secure the perimeter. Medics to the wounded. Engineers to the plant. Move. They moved like they had done this 1,000 times. In orbit, the Krell commander watched his fleet break. Half his ships were gone. The rest tried to run. Human ships chased them. No mercy, no pause. He sent one last message to his superiors. Unknown human force, extreme durability, recommend full retreat. These are not normal humans. These are... The transmission cut off. A railgun slug found his flagship. Daniel stood at the window. The sky no longer burned only red. Now it sparkled with new explosions. Human explosions. Controlled. Ruthless. Laura walked up beside him. They came. All of them. Daniel nodded slowly. Yeah, and they brought everything. Far out in the black, the Armada kept coming. More ships still exiting hyperspace. More Deathworlders. More survivors from the harshest places Earth could offer. The colonists had asked for reinforcements. What arrived was something the galaxy had never seen before. The battle in orbit turned into a storm of fire and metal. Krell ships tried to hold their lines. They fired in perfect patterns. Their beams cut clean through space. But the human Armada did not care about patterns. They came straight in. No fancy turns. No clever tricks. Just forward. Always forward. Admiral Ryan Young stood on the bridge of the Endurance. He was 45, tall, broad shoulders. His face had deep lines from years under harsh suns and freezing winds. His gray eyes watched the tactical display without blinking. He spoke in a low voice. Primary batteries. Target the carriers first. Secondary guns on anything that moves toward the planet. Drones keep the fighters busy. No one gets past us. The orders went out. The ship answered like a living thing. Railguns roared. Each shot sent a long metal rod at impossible speed. One hit a Krell carrier in the engine section. The alien ship bloomed with white fire. Secondary explosions followed. The carrier broke into pieces that drifted like broken teeth. Megan Carter led her Marine team across a boarding tube. They had latched on to a damaged Krell destroyer. The tube shook from enemy fire. Alarms screamed inside their helmets. Megan moved first. Her heavy suit clanked with every step. She carried a large rifle that fired explosive rounds. Behind her came 8 others. All of them looked calm. The tube connected. A hatch blew open. Krell soldiers waited on the other side. Tall, thin, armed with energy rifles. They fired first. Blue bolts hit the Marines. One Marine took a direct hit to the chest. His armor smoked. The plate cracked. But he did not fall. He raised his own weapon and fired back. The Krell soldier exploded into wet pieces. Megan charged. She moved fast for someone in heavy armor. She kicked a Krell down. Her boot crushed its thin chest. She fired point-blank into another. The corridor filled with smoke and screams. The Krell made high clicking sounds when they died. "Push forward," Megan shouted over comms. "Bridge is 2 decks up. We take it, this ship is ours." They fought room by room. The Krell used cover. They were trained, precise, but the humans did not stop. One Marine lost an arm to a close energy blast. He tied it off with a quick bandage from his suit. Then he kept shooting with his good hand. Another took shrapnel in the leg. He limped, but stayed in line. Back on the Endurance, Ryan watched the boarding reports. He nodded once. "Send the next wave. Target their command ships." More dropships launched. They fell toward the Krell fleet like arrows. Some got hit. Some burned. Most reached their targets. Grapples fired. Marines crossed over. The fights inside alien ships were short and ugly. Humans bled. They broke bones, they burned, but they kept moving. On the planet's surface, Christopher Harris watched from the water plant. Dropships landed all around them now. Dust rose in big clouds. Ramps dropped. Soldiers stepped out. Their suits were different colors. Some gray from Arctic bases, some red from desert outposts, some black from deep ocean rigs. They all looked the same in one way. Hard. Ready. A big man walked up to Christopher. Name tag said Jason Carter. He was Megan's brother. Same sharp eyes. Sane, easy smile. "Sergeant Harris, Jason Carter. We brought supplies. Medkits, ammo, food packs that don't taste like dirt." Christopher shook his hand. The grip was strong. "You came through that mess up there?" Jason looked up at the sky. Flashes still lit the dark. "Yeah, bit bumpy, but we've landed in worse. Ever try dropping on Europa during a methane storm?" Christopher shook his head. "Trust me," Jason said, "you don't want to." His team spread out. They helped move wounded. They set up heavy guns. They repaired broken walls with fast-setting foam. One engineer pulled out a toolkit and started fixing the water pumps. He worked like the Krell were not still shooting from orbit. Kevin Clark flew his fighter close to the Endurance. He needed fuel. His tanks were almost dry. A voice guided him in. "Scout 3-1, this is Endurance Flight Control. Approach Bay 4. You're cleared hot." Kevin lined up. The bay doors opened. Inside he saw rows of fighters. Some looked new. Some looked old and patched. All of them carried scars. He landed hard. The deck shook. Ground crew ran out. They hooked fuel lines. They loaded fresh missiles. A woman in a flight suit walked over. Her name was Nicole Garcia. She was 28. Short. Strong. She checked his damage. "Welcome aboard," she said. "You look like you've been through hell." Kevin pulled off his helmet. Sweat ran down his face. "Feels like it." Nicole smiled. "You should see where we train. Siberia in winter. -60. Wind like knives. If you can fly there, you can fly anywhere." She pointed to his wing. "That hole? Plasma burn. We'll patch it in 10 minutes. You want coffee? Real stuff, not synth. Kevin stared. Real coffee? From Earth. We keep some for pilots who make it back. He took the cup. It was hot. It tasted like home. In orbit, the Krells started to panic. Their perfect formations broke. Ships turned to run. Human ships chased. Railguns kept firing. Plasma storms swept wide arcs. Drones hunted stragglers. No escape. The Krell commander on his last flagship tried to regroup. He sent fighters in suicide runs. They crashed into human hulls. Explosions bloomed. The Endurance took another hit. A whole section vented air. Crews sealed it fast. No one screamed. They just worked. Ryan Young spoke over fleet-wide comms. All units, the enemy is breaking. Press them. No prisoners unless they drop weapons. Everything else, second. The Armada pushed harder. A Krell battleship tried one last stand. It fired everything it had. Beams hit 3 human ships. 1 cruiser lost engines. It drifted. But the others closed in. Boarding teams attached. Marines poured inside. Inside that battleship, the fight was close. Krell used their long arms to strike from distance. Humans used brute force. They smashed through doors. They threw grenades. They shot until barrels glowed red. One Marine, a woman named Samantha Lewis, took a beam to the shoulder. It melted her armor. Skin burned black. She screamed once. Then she grabbed the Krell who shot her. She lifted him with one good arm, slammed him against a wall, broke his neck. Then she kept fighting until medics pulled her back. The Krell bridge fell in minutes. The commander died at his post. His last words were lost in static. On New Horizon, Daniel Miller stood outside the main dome for the first time in weeks. The air smelled of ozone and burnt metal. He watched dropships come and go. Supplies stacked up. Wounded moved to new medical tents. Children peeked out from shelters. They pointed at the big soldiers in strange armor. Laura Davis joined him. She wiped grease from her hands. They're not just fighting, she said. They're enjoying it. Daniel looked at her. Not like they love war, she added. Like they've done harder things before. This is just another bad day to them. A group of Marines walked past. One carried a wounded Krell prisoner. The alien was tied. It looked small next to the humans. Scared. The Marine saw Daniel. He nodded. Prisoner for interrogation, sir. Figured you might want answers. Daniel stared at the Krell. It clicked softly. Afraid. Yeah, Daniel said. We do. Above them, the sky still flashed. But fewer Krell ships remained. The Armada hunted the last ones. Relentless, patient. Like predators who knew the kill was close. Ryan Young sat back in his command chair. He rubbed his neck. Status, he asked. His XO answered. Enemy fleet reduced to 30%. Most running for jump points. Colony secure. Ground forces reporting minimal resistance now. Ryan nodded. Good. Tell the fleet. We hold orbit. No one leaves until the system is clean. He looked out the viewport. Stars. Debris. Burning wrecks. They had asked for reinforcements. What arrived was Deathworlders. Born on a planet that hated life. Trained in places that broke machines. Hardened by cold, heat, pressure, poison. They did not fight smart. They fought to win, to survive, to make sure no one ever tried again. And they were just getting started. They asked for reinforcements. What arrived was the most lethal Deathworlder armada. The sky over New Horizon no longer belonged to the Krell. Flashes still came, but they were different now. Human weapons made deep rolling booms. Krell energy beams looked weak and thin against the thick clouds of kinetic debris and plasma fire. The blockade cracked open like dry ground in heat. Admiral Ryan Young watched from the Endurance bridge. His display showed the enemy fleet in pieces. 30 ships left. Most tried to run toward the jump points at the edge of the system. A few still fought. Those few died fastest. Target the runners, Ryan said. His voice stayed even. Railguns on the lead group. Plasma banks on anything turning to fight. Keep the pressure on. The orders spread. The armada moved like one big animal. Ships shifted together. No gaps, no hesitation. The Endurance fired first. A long salvo of railgun slugs raced out. They crossed space in heartbeats. 3 Krell cruisers took hits square in the engines. Fire bloomed inside their hulls. They spun slowly, dead. Smaller human ships darted in. They looked tiny next to the big carriers, but they moved fast. They cut across enemy paths. Drones followed them like angry bees. The drones latched onto Krell hulls. Small explosions opened holes. Marines waited in the shadows of those holes. When the time came, they jumped across. On the planet, Daniel Miller stood in the open again. He wore no helmet now. The air felt cold but clean. Smoke still hung low, but the deep booms from orbit sounded farther away. He watched a group of dropships land near the main gate. Ramps dropped. Soldiers came out carrying crates. Food, medicine, spare parts. One crate had the Red Cross on it. Medics ran toward the hospital tents. Laura Davis walked beside him. She carried a tablet. The screen showed shield status. Green for the first time in months. The main generator is stable, she said. They brought extra reactors, portable ones. We can rebuild the outer domes now. Daniel looked at her. You believe it yet? She gave a small smile. Starting to. Kevin Clark sat in the pilot-ready room on the Endurance. His fighter rested in the hangar below. Fresh paint covered the worst burns. New missiles hung under the wings. He drank water from a metal cup. Nicole Garcia sat across from him. She cleaned her sidearm with slow care. You flew good out there, she said. Kept your wingman alive. Kevin shrugged. Megan did most of the work. Nicole laughed soft. She's always been stubborn. Grew up in Alaska. Learned to fly in blizzards before she could drive. Kevin looked at the wall. Pictures hung there. Old ones. Men and women in heavy coats. Snow up to their waists. Others in desert gear. Deep sea suits with lights on helmets. All of them smiled in the pictures, like the hard places were normal. Why do you call it Deathworld Contingent? He asked. Nicole put her gun down. Because Earth is the worst place most species could live. Gravity pulls hard. Weather changes fast. Animals bite. Plants poison. Oceans crush. We grew up fighting it every day, so when the galaxy sends something mean, we just shrug. Seen worse. Kevin thought about that. He remembered winters on New Horizon, cold enough to freeze lungs if you stayed out too long. Summers hot enough to cook eggs on metal roofs. He nodded slow. Christopher Harris helped unload crates near the water plant. Jason Carter worked beside him. They lifted heavy boxes together. Jason's arms looked thick under his suit sleeves. You lift like you've done this before, Christopher said. Jason grinned. Construction on Mars. Low gravity makes you strong when you come back to 1G. Plus, my sister makes me train. Says weak Marines die first. They set a crate down. Inside were power cells, bright blue labels, human make, tough cases. Jason pointed up. See that flash? That's one of ours finishing a Krell frigate. They don't quit. Christopher looked. A bright streak crossed the sky. Then another explosion, silent from down here, just light. A call came over the comms. Admiral Ryan Young's voice. All ground teams. Enemy ground forces are pulling back. They know the fight in orbit is lost. Secure your zones. Help is coming to every sector. Cheers rose from the soldiers around them. Short, tired, real. Megan Carter led her team through the outer ruins. They moved house to house, checking for traps, looking for survivors. They found a small group of colonists hiding in a basement. An old man, 2 children, a woman with a broken arm. Megan knelt. We're taking you to medical. The woman stared at her armor. You're human? Megan smiled. Born and raised, Earth stock. The old man touched her sleeve. Never thought I'd see the day. Megan helped them up. Her team carried the children. They walked back slow. No rush now. In orbit, the last Krell ships made one final try. 5 cruisers turned. They formed a tight circle. Weapons pointed out. They fired everything. A wall of energy came toward the human line. Ryan watched it come. Shields to full. Counter battery, now. The Endurance raised shields. Thick layers of magnetic fields snapped up. The energy hit hard. Ships shook. Lights flickered. Crew held onto rails. Then the barrage stopped. Shields glowed red, but held. Return fire, Ryan said. The Armada answered as one. Railguns, missiles, plasma, torpedoes, a storm of metal and fire. The Krell circle broke in seconds. Ships cracked open. Crews tried to escape in pods. Human drones chased the pods. Not to kill, to capture. One Krell officer broadcast on open channel. His voice clicked fast. We offer terms. Ceasefire. We withdraw. No more attacks on this world. Ryan answered himself, his voice calm. You came to take a human colony. You lost. Terms are simple. Leave the system. Never come back. Or we finish this the hard way. Silence followed. Then the remaining Krell ships turned. Engines flared. They jumped away. One by one. The jump points lit up, then went dark. Ryan leaned back. Status. Enemy fleet gone, his exo said. All contacts negative. System clear. Ryan nodded. Secure orbit. Begin recovery operations. Get our people home. On the surface, Daniel stood with Laura. They watched the last flashes fade. The sky turned quiet orange again. No more booms. No more screams over comms. A dropship landed close. Ryan Young stepped out. No helmet, just uniform. Face calm. Daniel walked forward. They shook hands. Captain Miller, Ryan said. Admiral Young. Sorry we're late. Daniel laughed once, short. You're not late. You're right on time. Ryan looked around. Your people held strong. That's why we came. We don't leave our own behind. Laura stepped up. How many ships did you bring? Ryan glanced at the sky. Enough. 312 when we left Seoul. Lost 23 on the way. Still plenty left. Daniel stared. That's more than we have in the whole sector. Ron shrugged. Deathworlders don't travel light. We build big, we build tough, we bring everything. They walked toward the command dome. Marines followed, carrying supplies, helping wounded, laughing with colonists, like old friends. Inside, Ashley Lewis waited at her station. She stood when they entered. Admiral, she said, welcome. Ryan nodded, kept us informed the whole way. She blushed a little. Just doing my job. Ryan looked at the group. Daniel, Laura, Ashley, others who came in from the halls. You asked for reinforcements, he said. We heard. So we sent the ones who don't break. The ones who grew up where the planet itself tries to kill you every day. Cold, heat, storms, depth, altitude. We learned to live through it. Then we learned to fight through it. He paused. Now the galaxy knows too. Outside, the Armada settled into defensive orbit. Ships spread out. Guns still hot, but quiet now. Dropships flew back and forth, bringing more help, more people, more proof that Earth had not forgotten. Daniel looked out the window. Stars shone clear. No red dots anymore. The Krell had come to take a world. They left with nothing but fear. And the humans stayed, stronger, together. The fight was over. They asked for reinforcements. What arrived was the most lethal Deathworlder armada. The fighting stopped, not slowly, all at once. One moment the sky roared with explosions. The next moment it went quiet. Only the low hum of human ships stayed in orbit. Their lights moved steady across the dark like slow stars. New Horizon breathed again. Daniel Miller walked through the main street of the colony. Craters marked the ground. Broken metal lay everywhere. But people came out now, faces pale from too long underground. Children ran between the adults. They pointed at the big dropships that landed one after another. Soldiers in thick armor stepped down. Some carried boxes, some carried tools. All of them looked tired but calm. Laura Davis followed Daniel. She still wore her engineer jumpsuit. Grease stains covered the front. She carried a small scanner. She checked buildings as they passed. Most still stood. But the worst damage came from the first weeks, not the last days. They reached the central square. A large tent stood there now, white with red crosses. Medics moved fast inside. Wounded lay on stretchers. Some talked, some slept. A woman with short brown hair worked at a table. She cleaned a burn on a young boy's arm. Her name tag read, Nicole Garcia. Nicole looked up when Daniel and Laura entered. She smiled small. "Captain Miller, Chief Davis, good to see you on your feet." Daniel nodded. "How bad is it?" "Bad," Nicole said, "but not hopeless. We brought extra regen kits, pain blockers, antibiotics that actually work. Most will walk again, some will run." Laura looked at the boy. He stared back with big eyes. "You're from Earth?" the boy asked. Nicole laughed soft. "Yeah, kid. Born in Texas. Hotter than this place on a good day." The boy smiled for the first time. Outside the tent, Admiral Ryan Young talked to a group of colonists. He stood easy, hands in pockets, no rank pins shining, just a plain gray uniform. People listened close. They asked questions. He answered straight. One older woman stepped forward. Her name was Margaret Evans, gray hair, strong hands from years of farm work. "Why did it take so long?" she asked. Not angry, just tired. Ryan met her eyes. "Space is big. Signals take time. Ships take longer. But we heard you. Every message. We turned everything we had toward this system. No one gets left behind." Margaret nodded slow. Tears came, but she wiped them fast. "Thank you," she said. Ryan shook her hand. "Don't thank me. Thank the people who built the ships, who trained the crews, who refused to quit when Earth tried to kill them first." His fighter rested close by. Clean now. Ready if needed. Megan Thompson sat beside him. She drank water from a bottle. Dust covered her flight suit. "You okay?" Kevin asked. Megan shrugged. "Yeah, just strange. Quiet." Kevin looked up. The armada filled the sky, not threatening anymore, protective, like a shield made of steel. "Never thought help would look like that," he said. Megan smiled. "Deathworlders. They don't send flowers. They send everything." Christopher Harris walked past with Jason Carter. They carried stretchers, wounded Marines. One had a leg wrapped tight. Another breathed through a mask. Both gave weak thumbs up. "Easy there," Christopher said. "Medbay's close." Jason laughed. "These guys took plasma to the face and still want to fight. Tough bunch." Christopher glanced at the sky. "Like the rest of us." In the command dome, Ashley Lewis sat at her station. Screens showed clear space. No red dots. Only green friendlies. She leaned back. For the first time in months, her shoulders dropped. A voice came from the door. Samantha Lewis, Ashley's cousin. She had fought in the resistance tunnels. Thin, dirty, but eyes bright. "Hey," Samantha said. Ashley stood. They hugged hard. "You made it," Ashley whispered. Samantha pulled back. "We all did, because of them." She pointed outside. A group of Marines laughed together. One told a story. Hands moved fast. Others listened and grinned. Daniel entered the dome. Ryan followed. "Admiral," Daniel said, "we need to talk about next steps." Ryan nodded. "Already started. Supply convoys are on the way. More ships, more people if you want them. Engineers, doctors, farmers, whatever you need. Laura joined them. The colony can rebuild. Faster now. Ryan looked out the big window. Stars shone clean. You held this place, he said, against odds no one should face. That matters. Earth knows it. The galaxy will know it soon. He turned to them. The Krell thought humans were weak, soft, easy. They learned different. They learned what Deathworlders really are. Daniel crossed his arms. What are we exactly? Ryan smiled thin. Survivors. From the start. Earth tried ice ages, plagues, storms, volcanoes, radiation, predators. We didn't just live. We got stronger. Every generation. Now we take that strength anywhere. Any fight. He paused. You asked for reinforcements. We didn't send a fleet to save you. We sent ourselves. The part of humanity that doesn't bend, that doesn't break, that looks at the worst the universe throws, and says, is that all? Laura laughed quiet. Sounds dramatic. Ryan shrugged. Facts aren't always pretty. Night came. The colony lit up again. Not just emergency lights, real lights. Warm yellow from windows. People cooked food, real food, brought from the ships. Smells drifted through the streets. Bread, meat, coffee. Daniel walked with Ryan along the edge of the dome. They looked at the stars. Will they come back? Daniel asked. Ryan thought. Maybe, but next time they'll think twice. Word spreads fast. One human world held, then another, then more. The Krell lost here, badly. Others will hear. Daniel nodded. And us? You rebuild, grow, get stronger, like always. They stopped. A child ran past, laughing, chasing a ball. A Marine tossed it back with a grin. Ryan watched. That's why we came. Not just to fight, to make sure moments like this keep happening. Daniel felt something loosen in his chest. Not gone, but lighter. Thank you, he said. Ryan shook his head. No thanks needed. We're family, all of us, from the same hard rock. They turned back toward the lights. In the days that followed, the Armada stayed. Ships repaired, crews rested. Some went down to the surface. They helped clear rubble, fix walls, plant seeds in new soil. They told stories around fires at night, stories of Earth, of places worse than New Horizon, of storms that lasted months, of depths where light never reached, of heights where air forgot how to fill lungs. Colonists listened. They laughed. They cried sometimes, but mostly they listened. Megan Carter sat with a group one night. She held a cup of something hot. Steam rose. Back home, she said, we have deserts where nothing grows. Heat kills in hours. Snakes, spiders, dust storms that block the sun. We still live there, still raise kids, still laugh. A young colonist asked, why? Megan looked at the fire. Because we can. Because giving up isn't in us. The fire crackled. Sparks rose. Kevin flew one last patrol. Not for enemies, just to see. The system felt empty now. Safe. Lights welcomed him home. Nicole waited in the hangar. She handed him a fresh coffee. Thought you'd want one, she said. Kevin took it. Thanks. She leaned on a crate. You staying here, or coming with us? Kevin looked out at the planet. Lights glowed below. Staying, he said. But I'll visit. Nicole smiled. Good. Family visits are important. Weeks passed. Ships left one by one. Not all. Some stayed to guard. Others carried messages back to Earth. Reports, stories, proof. The last night before most of the Armada jumped away, Ryan stood on the surface, Daniel beside him. Time to go, Ryan said. Daniel nodded. Safe travels. Ryan looked at the colony. New walls rose already. People worked. Children played. You did good, he said. Daniel smiled. We all did. Ryan turned. He walked to his shuttle. The ramp closed. Engines hummed. The shuttle rose, joined the others. The Armada formed up. Lights blinked in patterns. Farewell. Then hyperspace opened. Ships slipped through, gone. The sky went quiet again. Daniel stood alone for a long time. Wind blew dust around his boots. Laura found him. "They're gone," she said. "Not gone," Daniel answered. "Just waiting. If we need them again." She put a hand on his shoulder. "Come inside. Food's ready." He followed her. Inside the dome, people ate together, talked, laughed, planned tomorrow. Outside, the stars watched, silent, patient. The galaxy had asked what humans were. Now it knew. They were Deathworlders, born hard, made harder, and they answered every call with everything they had.